Let's get educated. That's why we're here, to bring you the stories impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses. It's time for a little education.
Well, welcome one, welcome all. I am Katie Petrick, and today, just pretty much as every day, I am joined by David Fiorazo.
Again, we're here doing this.
You know, I lock the doors. I try and deter him all I can, but yet he still finds a way.
Find my way to this seat.
Every day.
That's right.
All right.
The co-pilot seat.
The co-pilot seat, unless you're in this seat, talking about some worldview matters.
That's right. We had Pastor Scott Lively on the program today, and he's got a book out called Dynasty of Darkness, The History of Satan's Antichrists and the Rise of His Final Kingdom. Fascinating. A lot of talking about spiritual warfare and what's going on in our culture with Pastor Scott Lively, and you can get information on that on our website, worldviewmatters.tv. And of course, the shows are put on Facebook and Rumble on the Freedom Project channels.
It was a lively conversation.
It was very lively. It's
Excellent.
always with Scott.
It's always. All right. Well, a federally funded training program will teach middle schoolers about LGBTQ history and provide strategies to further push the queer content in the classrooms. It's just another day that ends in Y, and the alphabet soup has come for all, David.
Well, for those who are informed and have been paying attention over the last couple of decades, this is like okay, so what else is new headline? The feds, government, is funding more training to help teachers with gay and queer history lessons. That's the headline. So again, government money. And where does that come from, Katie? Where do they get that?
It grows on those trees,
Okay,
David.
That's right. That's right. They have money trees.
You know, at this point,
the Fed.
because we're, so technologically savvy, it's just push a couple keys and that's where the money grows, just pushing some buttons.
So
we don't even need tree money anymore.
Yeah, our Democrat socialist government, the globalists, think we need more, sex education. We need more. So they need more queer content in the classrooms. And again, to a lot of you are going, okay, so next. But let's talk a little bit more about this, because the City University of New York's Center for Media and Learning is administering the July training, the training of teachers. But before we do that, we talk about that, the training session, it's an NEH-funded program. That's National Endowment for the Humanities, NEH-funded, so that's the government. And it first happened in 2022, just 2 years ago, with these activities collectively costing taxpayers about $400,000. So, and this is just New York, right?
Yeah, well, it's just they have it take place. And they're going to instruct 30 middle and high school teachers on that expanding of historical narratives.
Just 30, huh?
Oh, those lucky 30 who get to take it back to the classroom with them. And they are going to identify the pedagogical strategies in their classrooms to better incorporate the LGBTQ plus content. How posh of them. And again, because of the way it works in our country, where we just pass these massive omnibus packages, you're looking like, $400,000. Who cares? It is a drop in the bucket. Yeah. But little by little, it keeps adding up. These little projects. And then it goes into our big old omnibus, and no one says anything because we don't actually look at line items anymore. Yep. And so all this nonsense gets passed.
Yep.
Without any of us knowing. And just like I said, money grows on trees, or, pushing buttons. I was being a little facetious. You are paying for it.
And this is what there's, I would consider this like the fine print, the small print. Educators participating in the program, in other words, teachers that are going to be learning about how to push more queer content, they're going to receive about $1,000 or $1,100 a week.
For those 2 weeks, so you get $2,200 to go to this?
Yep.
Well, that must be nice. Oh, yeah, it does say 22 because I can do math yet. 1,100. 2 weeks, 2,200 to cover their expenses during the institute. What expenses is going to be $2,200? Well, I guess if you're in New York, it's going to cost you a lot to rent a room. Yeah. Heck, I'd even go for $2,200. I'll go there. I'll bring some earplugs with me. I'll sit there.
See,
take a nice nap.
That's an interesting point.
Get
So
paid
there may be some
$2,200.
teachers that aren't even interested in this. They're not
Maybe, I don't
demonically
know.
driven. They're not necessarily behind the agenda.
They
And
probably
just, hey,
are.
Yeah, I can go to New York. I'll
probably
sit through this
are.
training. I'll get, $2,200 and
Well, who knows? Let's see. Maybe they'll become interested because on the first day of the program, the participating teachers are scheduled to learn about the historical context for contemporary efforts to legislate and restrict LGBTQ plus topics within United States schools. Riveting. Ooh. The following day, teachers will discuss how indigenous expressions of sexual and gender identity were impacted by colonialism. Oh, edge of my seat over
there
here.
you go.
Edge of my seat.
There you go. Colonialism. The patriarchy.
Man, they're hitting it all.
Yep,
Indigenous,
those
colonial,
racist founders.
sexual,
Yep.
gender.
Yep.
And that's just
Did we hit it all?
on one
under
day.
under
They're doing all of
DEI?
that on one day. They're
Right. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. All right. So this content is going to be shoved even further down the throats of kids, as if it's not already in the schools. So this is just interesting to me in that, like I said, it shouldn't be a headline, but what they're taking it to another level here. So the word strategies was used, right? They want to get teachers to promote LGBTQ history and give the teachers strategies. Why would they need strategies? Maybe there are some parents who would disagree with the, quote, queer content, right? So this is where we're at. And again, nothing new, but
no.
yeah, they're
But
gonna
hey,
push it.
the website, just to encourage those coming up here for the summer, it lists some of the teachers who participated in the 2022 edition of this and some comments they had. And they said, we as a queer community have won.
What?
What does that say?
They've won?
We've won. Period. Oh, comma. We as a queer community have won, have had these victories again and again and again, and you're not going to stop us. So when we say there's an agenda and they are not doing this for the interests of the students, that comment right there should tell you exactly what we mean. We as a queer community have won, have had these victories again and again and again, and you're not going to stop us. That's delightful.
Yep.
Another teacher said that she loves that the students feel that they can just start talking about queer stuff with me. They can just start.
And these queer teachers, one of them said, there's so much at stake when we are with our children. Now, that's not their physical, biological children. That's with your children in the public schools. There's so much at stake. I agree with that statement on its face, but they're looking at it from a different way. They're looking at it from the agenda standpoint and programming.
Because that very same teacher then talked about her students in a video interview, referred to her students as her babies.
Well,
they
are the school's children, right? The parents,
When
once
we
you drop
say-
them off at school,
Yep.
they're not yours anymore.
When we say the schools are out to indoctrinate your kids and they are taking your children away from you, this is what we're talking about. Right here.
Indoctrinating.
Alex Newman's new book.
There it is.
Indoctrinating Our Children to Death.
There it is. We're going to plug this until we have something else to plug. But still to come, teachers in Dallas have some explaining to do after it was discovered that some of them ran an LGBT education program at the school without ever getting permission. Surprise, surprise. That's next.
You know, I was just in Dallas not that long ago for a hot second, then I left.
I was there 3.5 years ago.
Oh, exactly. Boom. You know when it was. I was in there like not even 3.5 weeks ago, but okay. During that time period, I did not see this happening, thank goodness. I did not go into a Dallas school, though. But in Dallas, apparently, at the Dallas Independent School Districts, there was an LGBTQ program that partnered with said school district, certain teachers at least. It was a local transgender care providing clinic that was never actually approved by said school district.
Okay. All right.
So, you know,
Just
again,
one?
when we talk about indoctrinating the kids and these outside groups and organizations who have specific agendas and narratives they're pushing, when they don't have the best interest of your kids, this is, again, the type of stuff. The examples. Case in point, here we go. Dallas Independent School District. There are documents that were recently obtained in a public records request by actually the Dallas Express. And it showed that, there was no permission given. And yet these outside groups, LGBTQ groups, were in there talking about, transgender care providing information.
Wow.
And so the Out for Safe Schools program reportedly partnered the district, I should say, with a transgender affirming clinic called the Resource Center. So they work together and put them together. Now we have a lot of documents that have been deleted, so we don't have the newest documents to show you. But what you saw was a post that the Dallas School District's Support Services for LGBTQ Youth had posted way back in 2020, that year that we all tried to forget about. And so what we got going on here is the program that actually educated teachers on how they could be allies, for the LGBTQ cause. Obviously, this is what these organizations do. They keep everything as hush-hush as they can, only inform the people needed to know to get themselves into places like these schools, and then they do all their damage, and then they leave, and then people find out about it after the fact. Is that not how it goes pretty much, David? Yeah.
And a lot of times. The Out for Safe Schools program. Let's bring up that graphic again with the tech. There we go. Out. They're very proud about this. So what does out mean, Katie? That means they're coming out for safe schools. So they always try to throw something.
Oh, it's a play on words.
Yeah.
It's a play.
They always try to throw something in the name that's, who would be against safe schools?
I know. And we're out for it. But their definition of out is not
coming out, right?
Yes, their sexual identity, not anything of substance. So the Out for Safe Schools program and their little partnering thing with the Resource Center, their agreement was allegedly signed by the Resource Center, but oopsie daisies, no one from the Dallas School District officials put their Herbie Hancock on it.
Who
and
knew?
yes, I know it's John Hancock.
So it was
but
allegedly.
Herbie Hancock's funnier.
Allegedly.
So someone knew, but no one at the school district didn't. I mean, who cares what the school district has to say? They're only in charge and responsible for, protecting the children. So that's okay.
I was going to say safe schools for who?
Yeah, exactly.
Who are they protecting?
According to Joanna Talley, the public information coordinator for the Dallas ISD, she said the department said there was no executed agreement. There was nothing that happened. So despite the apparent lack of support on behalf of the district, the program was operating anyway because that's how they do. And further documents obtained by, again, the Dallas Express, who brought this to light, allegedly show that the program was struggling to recruit teachers. You don't say. Maybe if you would have taken it to Austin, Texas, you would have had more success for this.
Well, can you imagine, just imagine, if you will, a Christian group starting to talk about or teach about, biblical creation, right? And they're doing it under the guise of science or whatever, because it is. And can you imagine, without permission, heads would have rolled. This would have been a national story, and no, but this is just another. Oh, okay. Well,
Dallas would have gotten away with it, but Austin then would have been the ones complaining.
What?
It would have been opposite. So Dallas would have been accepting of that.
Oh, right.
And then Austin is not, where Austin would be accepting more of this and not of that.
Yeah.
There we be. All right. Well, hey, good news, everyone. We got some good news. Are the alarms going off of the Good News Award? Good news.
Let's hear it.
Snaps for good news. Multiple conservative states are now considering sex ed bills. Oh, no, sex ed bills. That would actually require students to watch a pro-life video showing how a baby develops in the womb. And we're going to talk about it next.
Today's show is sponsored by our friends at MyPillow. Save up to 66% on pristine quality bedding, towels, slippers, signature pillows, and much more when you use the code EDUCATED. That's EDUCATED. Educated. Support this show and a great American company.
Snaps for good stories. All right, multiple legislatures are considering bills that would require students to watch a video of an infant's development in the womb as part of their sex education.
Why aren't they already doing this?
Back in my day,
What?
they actually did this.
Okay. Yeah. Imagine, exactly. And even in my day, way back.
Long time ago in a galaxy.
Actually, we didn't have
far,
the videos then.
The projector reel there.
Yeah, right.
And it would spin and the tape's over. Oh, memories. All right, anyway, Live Action, a pro-life activist organization, created a 3-minute video which shows an animated infant named Olivia and how she goes through the developmental process from conception to full term at 9 months. Now, bills have been proposed in Iowa, Kentucky, Missouri, and West Virginia to include an animation comparable to the live action video for students from high school to as young as 3rd grade. What do those states have in common, David? Iowa, Kentucky, Missouri, and West Virginia.
Red?
Or even
Conservative? Rural?
Not
red,
big blue states, right?
conservative?
Okay, let's take a look at a sample of baby Olivia.
This is Olivia. Though she has yet to greet the outside world, she has already completed an amazing journey. This is the moment that life begins. A new human being has come into existence. At fertilization, her gender, ethnicity, hair color, eye color, and countless traits are already determined. She begins to implant in the uterus about 1 week after fertilization. Her cells organize into what we call an embryo. At 3 weeks and 1 day, just 22 days after fertilization, Olivia's heartbeat can be detected. Olivia has gone on an amazing journey during these last 9 months. She will soon signal to her mother that it is time for delivery and greet the outside world.
Wait a minute. This aligns with science and biology, and we cannot possibly have that in schools anymore because they've kicked, of course, the biblical worldview, but actual science and actual biology out of the school. So how could they allow this offensive material? You know I'm joking, right?
Yeah, I know.
Offensive
Audience,
material.
You didn't know. I
But
think
you know
they all
what?
know
You know
too.
what's just sad? This is a reflection of our culture, that there's certain states that have to push legislation that's going to actually allow this in education and how a baby is formed and develops in a mother's womb. Talking about human beings and what happens when a woman gets pregnant, and this has not been allowed. And that's a reflection of our country, and how it's also a revelation of how the agenda of death, abortion, euthanasia, and other things have been allowed to increase. And it's really sad to me, but I'm thankful for this, but it's disheartening at the same time to see how much we've declined because we haven't allowed kids to learn actually what happens and have a respect for life.
Well, I'm going to ruin that by saying I couldn't listen to anything you just said after you said a woman becomes pregnant. A birthing person.
Oh, birthing person. I'm sorry. Did I say woman?
Houses a fetus.
You know what? I heard a good video. Someone said, talking about they're saying, men can menstruate. They're saying that anyone can. And someone says, well, where does the tampon go? Did you hear that one?
No, but
on a man.
Where does it go, everybody?
This is like, oh my goodness. This.
Great question.
So back to the video on life in the womb. Why can't we do this nationwide? Why haven't we been showing this in science or health or biology classes?
Well, because that would be actually having to capital T truth.
Yeah.
We don't do that here. Now, ABC News, sex ed classes in some states may soon watch a fetal development video from an anti-abortion group. You see how they...
Oh.
Let's spin.
Oh, boy.
Let's spin it. Spin it hard. An animated fetus that develops over the course of a 3-minute video has become it's a front. David, it's a front in state-level abortion politics.
Wow.
Yes, according to them. The video also describes the animated figures, motion, and actions with words like playing, exploring, sighing, and making speaking movements. Those words assign human traits and properties to a fetus that are more sophisticated than medicine can prove, said Emily Bovers, a practicing OBGYN in Iowa and co-founder of the Iowans for Health Liberty, which advocates for reproductive health care.
See the words that they use. Do you got that? I mean, when I first saw that ABC headline, it's infuriating. They are all in with the narrative, right? Anti-abortion group, fetal development. How could you? How dare you? But this is communist policy in America. When you push one ideology, one worldview, abortion, right? Abortion is healthcare. That's what they say. Abortion is women's reproductive freedom. But you censor and you say what actually is the truth and happening in a mother's womb. That's offensive to show that. This is interesting that how they're flipping this. It's communist policy in America.
So their worldview is really anti-worldview because
anti-biblical.
They don't want to have a world because they want to abort everyone who would make up said world. So then it's a no, I've gone cross-eyed.
Yeah.
That's how this is all going. But good news, pay attention to, and you saw she was from Iowa.
Yes.
So she was one critiquing this because this could happen in Iowa, in Kentucky, in Missouri, in West Virginia, hopefully in the 46 other states that we have in this supposed union of the United States. So let's see what happens, right?
Let's see what happens.
Now we're going to see what happens with a college student who is taking he has his own economics little study going on here. The cost of rent is skyrocketing. So this one college student has found a unique way of saving money while still physically attending his classes 400 miles away. We're going to tell you what he does when we come back.
If you have a smartphone, tablet, Roku, or Apple TV, consider downloading the Freedom Project Media app. It's 100% free and includes all of our weekly shows, plus lecture series, archive programs, and award-winning animated videos for families like the Presidential Minute, Battles of America, and Heroes of the West. Don't rely on the social media giants to keep you informed. Simply download the Freedom Project Media app from your app store and allow notifications. And we'll let you know when a new video is ready.
All right, so Tim Chen now commutes to classes. He goes to the University of BC in Canada, but not by car. He flies from Vancouver, actually between Vancouver and his home in Calgary, and it's saving him money. Look at that. Just look at that. There's the route. There's the 687 kilometers, and it saves him money compared to paying for rent and staying in the city. To have the money to do that must be nice. A lot of college kids are going, that's interesting. But let's watch the video. We'll come back and talk about it.
Commuting to class looks different for Tim Chen, who doesn't board a bus, but a plane to get to university. The arts student flies twice a week from Calgary to Vancouver, saving big bucks on rent.
I need to pay like $2,500 for the rent. I don't feel that is viable.
He pays roughly $150 per round-trip flight twice a week, about $1,200 per month total. That's half the average rent for a one-bedroom in the city.
I thought, why don't I just stay at Calgary and then just fly here? 1 hour flight. That's same to taking a bus.
He had been renting in Vancouver for years, but gave up his unit to take a break from school. He returned to sticker shock.
When I checked the house price, I was like, oh shoot, that was a big increase.
Vancouver continues to lead the way as Canada's most expensive city for renters, while finding a place to rent is even more difficult, with just a 0.9% vacancy rate. We've even seen UBC students living in vans when unable to afford rent.
This was the only financially viable option, as I couldn't afford a bachelor suite of a kind by myself.
Chen plans to fly to UBC for his 2 classes until the end of the academic year when he graduates.
I got 3 hours of class in total. After the class, I jump back to the bus and go back to the airport.
A routine that he says gives him plenty of time to focus on his studies from the air.
Interesting. So he's using the airline flight as kind of like a study hall. Interesting, creative. And you were wondering about the price. It seemed pretty low, $150 for a round trip.
Wow. I mean, maybe, although, I mean,
it's in Canada from city to city there.
And it depends on, I mean, when I I went to Dallas. Each flight technically was $52.
Oh my
but then with
goodness.
taxes and fees, it ends up being, hey, stick around by me. I know how to get deals.
Yeah, that's
I'm
it's
cheap.
It's pretty creative, and he said when he went back, it went up. They called it sticker shock. My niece lives in Vancouver.
Oh, right. And
My niece, and she recently got married, and it's an expensive city.
Yeah.
I mean, her and her husband, they must have great jobs because it's very expensive. You said it's an expensive city, one of the most expensive in Canada, and it's hardest to find. One of the hardest to find a place to rent.
well, it makes you wonder because he's an art student. Like, why are you?
Yeah.
Why?
Well,
But
he
okay,
obviously comes from a well-off family,
or
and-
not, because I feel like it'd be more money. Like he's not maybe doing the poor college kid life because he is saving the money. I don't know.
You know that now that's a
Interesting.
good point. I don't want to assume because he can fly twice a week.
Because it's cheaper than renting. Because
Yeah,
maybe
you know,
he's just.
I don't know.
He may be poor, but he's not going to go into debt for what he's doing. All these college kids maybe are going to be in massive debt once they graduate.
For renting places,
For renting
yeah.
places. Who knows? We'll see. Anyway, if you are a fan of our show right here, if you could like, comment, subscribe, share, do all those fun things to help us out. And if you are also a fan of the video platform called Rumble, if you would follow us, our little channel there is called rumble.com/Freedom Project. Now for David and myself, thank you for watching, thank you for listening, and thank you for supporting this show. Until next time, stay educated.